There's just 1 minute to showtime.
The engines are on.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
When they wrote up the systems and the rule set that we use, did working people get to write a line? What class of men on pen and paper jotted down their clues? With capital, the heart of their design. When 90 million want a thing, but some shareholders say no. Which class of people get to have their way? The people read the fine print, say that this thing has got to go. And we'll start writing a new contract here today. Don't you know that hundreds will work and one man keeps the money? They don't think they gotta tell us why. When they say the new social contract, all the bosses will be gobsmacked and everyone will want a sign. Oh, yeah, everyone will want a sign.
Hello, cousins. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of This Week in Hell. Actually, it's called Social Contract, but you know what it feels like to be here. You are here. So thanks for joining us for our weekly rant about what's been going on. And, it's been a big week in the Democratic world, so we're going to unpack that a little bit. I am joined by my illustrious and talented co-host, our very own Mr. Mayor Jared, if I could put my words in order. So how you doing, Jared?
What's going on, guys? I'm doing okay. I am leaving again tomorrow, and I'm mostly packed. It's a nicer thing to distract myself with.
Yeah, well, you're a travel pro at this point. If you heard our announcement last week, which I think it was our first announcement of it, I couldn't remember. I have like complete brain drain on it. But Jared is going to be checking out Russia for the first time. Pretty soon,
that's not this trip. That's in another month-ish, I think. Yeah, I leave September 13th, I think is my thing for that.
Yes.
I got one more thing left to book. I'm getting helped out by a couple of online Russian acquaintances, hopefully soon to be friends. And I shouldn't be surprised anymore because it seems to happen over and over. Maybe that's why I have such general, not belief isn't the wrong word because that sounds like one would believe in Jesus. But I don't know. My general belief that people aren't all like horrible, evil animals who are out to destroy each other and ruin the world is that I continually am shown relative, like I've never been to Russia and I got at least two people who are like, yeah, I can pick you up from the airport, that'll be fine, or yeah, here's how you exchange currency, here's how you do this, let me help you book a hotel. And like they don't have to do this. I'm not paying them. I probably will end up giving them money when I arrive, but like I'm continually impressed.
And, and this also comes off over a couple of months ago. Yeah, and then you had a similar experience, traveling to China as well. So you're hitting a lot of the for our purposes. It's really cool to have a boots on the ground scenario of what we're being told are the bad guys, or the ruination, or your enemies, and then going there and finding out the exact opposite is true. So in this year, you will have been able to have traveled to China and Russia both, and you guys can check out our 2-part episode on his most recent travel to China, and where he shares some pictures and stories. It's very cool, very fun time. And all of our past episodes, which are on our YouTube and our Rumble channel. So thanks for checking out our episodes and hanging out with us today. And we are looking at as I'm sure you guys are as well, people getting a little too excited about some SocDems winning some primaries. They've got Mondani stars in their eyes about this because they think this means everything's changing and we're gonna all get what we want and rainbows and happiness. Yay! One more time, guys. Most important election of your lifetime. So we're right back into that loop as we've been talking about that we would be, and so it's not too terribly exciting or too terribly novel of us to say, oh yeah, here we are again, we're right back into it. But we're right back into it, and we knew we would be. We are also hearing about that Kamala Harris is making some pretty serious overtures about jumping back in, which means she will be the nominee. If so, again, I'm surprised that they would be that stupid, but also I'm not at all. So, why don't you just put Hillary Clinton out there? At this point, that's you want to like have like the least popular person award, and then just hand everything right back to Republicans. And I do think that there is a difference between parties, but the gulf is very, very small. So they work for the same people. They do the same thing. So even though the Democrats effectively run interference for Republicans to be able to shoot things forward, which Democrats magically never seem to be able to do when they are in charge. That's kind of what we're looking at here. So we're looking at another bad situation, and then all these magical, wonderful unicorn SocDems that are winning everything, saying that immediately, almost without even being asked, starting to defend. Oh yeah, I'm going to support Hakeem Jeffries, and I'm going to support Kamala Harris, and we do phone calls, and we're best friends. So that's where we are on that one. But something else that's coming, kind of coming into shape. I don't want to be super pessimistic about it at this point, but I think I probably could be, and nobody would really mind. We're wondering here, we've been wondering between each other, is like the arrival of the flat cams and the arrival of the super surveillance state and the arrival of the data centers invading, everybody's space. This has kind of been a uniting factor cross-culturally. In a way that we, what does this really mean? Like, did we finally find like the hot button here that's going to like get people to move past the identity politics, or is it just going to drive people further into identity politics? So we kind of got that going on, and we're looking at some other stories today. Tuesdays seem to be an odd day for like weird political drops, like things happen while we're on the air a lot of times. So we'll see if anything weird happens today. But other than that, I'll turn things over to Jared, let him talk for a minute, because I am always doing all of the talking all the time. So let's hear from him, especially since he won't be here next week, and you're going to hear from me a lot. So.
I think we have more of an
Yes.
audio delay than usual, so I'm trying to not jump in because you only hear my
Oh, yeah?
jumping ins like, oh no, maybe it's bad. That was a quick response. But anyway, hey, my internet hasn't full on gone down in quite a while, so that's been positive. I want to start out with another like short but nice thing, or at least I think it's nice. Those the photo that they'll bust out about. Look at communism is bad because look at North and South Korea, how North Korea has no lights and South Korea has all these lights, and one is bad and one is good. Well, look at this, baby. We got North Korea 2014, North Korea 2025. Like people, you'll see they're half jokes, but they're also really not jokes. Where they'll see the same map, but then they just have it. They just fully light up the entirety of North Korea. Like, look, the reality. And that meme is becoming more true, real fast. You can look at mainstream economic outlets, things that talk about world business, and even they're like, yeah, North Korea's had a GDP growth of blah blah blah, and this improvement from here to here, and this many buildings, and et cetera, et cetera. The kind of improvements that we would like here in the U.S. And I'm really not joking at all when I say that we will wake up one day pretty soon, and the quality of life of your average North Korean, I think, may start to be above the quality of life of your average American. And I don't think that's horribly far away, because one country is growing, one country is shrinking, at least like industrially. It is an issue that things are not made here in the U.S. We don't have an industrial base. Our prices continue to go up because our money is based on nothing. And the thing you could base your money on that would be something would be like industry, production. That's what communism is actually about, is increasing production to a point that shit becomes not free, but basically free. It's not about increasing your income necessarily, but decreasing the price of everything. As much as I want to, I mean, short term, sure, yeah, give everybody a raise, but it really does just make your prices go up, because your rent can go up forever, but zero is a limit. You can't go under zero. So if you get prices low enough, that's how you end up with people in China making like the equivalent of $20,000 a year here, and they're living pretty nice, relatively luxurious lives, where you have people in the U.S. who make $100,000 and can just barely like keep a family of four.
Your credit card bills.
Oh yeah, if you have like a medical bill, oh boy. Or if you have a credit card debt or anything bad happens to you, good luck.
You know, what's interesting about that is I think that people, I get like number aphasia. Like I definitely am just like, no, no, no. Like when numbers start getting said to me in economic stuff. So it takes me a few times and to understand what I'm thinking of. And then you go full teacher mode and you just like, no, here it is. And then I understand it. But the thing of it is that, I think that a lot of people, and I realize this is also, I'm kind of niche marketing here a little bit, but a lot of people, if you've ever, if you've ever known a weed dealer, or if you've ever purchased any, then this like the best analogy that there ever could be. Because generally, if a person is going to sell, then they sell enough to make sure that they're not paying for what they, like they charge just enough to pay for their own, so that they're smoking for free. And or I guess any drug that would work that way. And like you can equate that small thing that like a lot of people have had experience with, one, buyer or seller, as the big economy. Like as Jared was just saying, I don't just pull this out of nowhere, but I'm doing this so it's like a real world kind of explanation here about what this is, because you could look at it and be like, okay, like if a country is doing really well, like because they're producing so much stuff, then shit's going to be like way cheaper or zero for them, as he was just saying. So if you like me or have a little bit of trouble understanding the big picture of like how numbers number, like then that's kind of like a small scale understanding of like, oh yeah, I've been part of a transaction like that, or I know someone who makes transactions like that, and they always have it and they never pay for it. So like that's really cool. And like that could be you, but like all the things. So that's how you know that our economy is shit and other countries are doing so well. So when we're in these, and it's something that we've been talking about for a long time, is these myths, these this propaganda of like communism bad, all the other countries are crazy and they're doing terribly, and just don't hold water anymore, because you can see right there that the difference between just a few short years that they were able to make that difference. So that's right there in front of you, and you can't really like lie. Like you can't, the lies don't really work anymore, and that's why they basically just don't even lie anymore. They're just like, no, we're not going to do shit for you. Fuck
You have
you.
a combination
And
of
that's
help
what I
from
think got
China,
a lot
and
of
the
people
help from China is in trade, because North Korea is an intensely
Yes.
sanctioned country, a lot like Cuba, where you can't just do normal trade relations with North Korea unless you're one of the quote bad countries. If you're Iran, China, or Russia, sure, you can do whatever deals you want with them because you're already sanctioned in basically the same ways. So it's a combination of having at least one freaking trading partner. It's got to be nice being directly connected to the largest industrial producer in the entire world, meaning China. But then it's also like people would talk about like, man, if North Korea didn't spend so much money on all their missiles and defense, etc., they could be helping out their people. And why do they have to spend all that money on missiles and stuff? Well, because the U.S. and NATO in general keeps trying to mess with them. Remember, Donald Trump, in his, I think his first administration, when he went over and had his meeting with Little Rocket Man, Kim Jong Un, there was a fucking team of Navy SEALs that were sneaking in to do something. They said they were going there to plant surveillance device cameras, microphones, etc., and they ended up gunning down a bunch of random civilian fishermen that happened to just be on the coast that they were landing at. Killed them, sunk their bodies so they wouldn't be found as easily, got out of there. North Korea knew about it and showed the extreme restraint of just being like, all right, I guess we're going to not go to war over this, like would absolutely happen if North Koreans rolled up on the Florida Keys and just gunned down a bunch of random Americans. I think there'd be more than just a buried news story that only comes out several years later. So North Korea, yes, makes sense for these countries, North Korea especially, to be defensive in the literal sense of we must build up our defenses because we're under constant attack. And now that they have a nuke, isn't it amazing? Look at it. Look at all their lines going right up, baby. They have all this money that they now do not have to spend on, because it's over. Once you got your nuclear, all right, that's it. Like, we're going to maintain our missiles or whatever, but it kind of puts a kibosh on all this. Why does Pakistan exist as a country, even though India hates the shit out of them? Because they have a nuke. Why does any freaking country exist anymore? You either have one or you're within a defense treaty that'll set off the chain reaction so you can, quote, not have them. Why are we fucking at war with Russia? Because we want to place nukes on their border like we have since the freaking Cuban Missile Crisis back in the day.
Yeah.
We just are doing it anyway. And like, why is Russia so mad? All this stuff started 5 years ago. And this is going to be relevant because I'm going to be talking about Ukraine this week. I don't know if you want to get any further words on this before I bring up Kamala Harris.
Well, I think that I would like to point out was like, isn't it curious that it's like, oh, we always hear that the quality of life and everything is horrible and everything is stupid and their leaders are crazy when it's people that can economically challenge the United States. Nobody's over there like, oh, our horrible adversary Finland. Like
Turkmenistan. Nobody brings up Turkmenistan, which if you have any creepy thoughts about how horrible North Korea is, look up Turkmenistan. They're a NATO ally. They have a literal dictator. Not a problem for them though. They're in the NATO whatever. They let the US put their bases and transport their firearm, their missiles, whatever. So they're fine. Nobody gives a shit about Turkmenistan. You don't even remember.
Yeah,
remember it's a
basically
country.
a giant airstrip for the United States use, and so nobody's actually looking at like what bullshit is going on there. But yeah, no, that's the thing too. And then like that kind of plays into what we're talking about here, and what Jared's going to get into next is that obviously ratchet effect and Dems running interference and this, that, and the other. Like nothing will fundamentally change. We're really gearing up for another big cycle of nothing will fundamentally change, except that it's working perfectly for the Democrats because this is exactly what they planned to do, and they basically had to do nothing to get people to get excited about it and jump right back in to the pool. So, and you're going to see a lot of people who are quote unquote leftists being like, well, it's not just a liberal problem here, guys. Like it's there's a lot going on. So
if you're using leftist in the literal way, because why do we use these right and left quote wings? It's where people sat in the after the French Revolution, well, actually kind of before, and then after and during the French Revolution, where you had the monarchists on the right side, the right wing of the building, that's it, and then you had the capitalists sitting on the left side of the building, because at that time capitalism was a progressive force over monarchism, because they're like, we should have power because of God and the king, and they're like, we should have power because we produce everything, or I should say, like, our factories.
It would have been in that dichotomy for sure. So like,
if you're
it makes
still
sense,
like, no, when you just sit on the left, it's like, well, yeah, same bird, two wings, need them both to fly.
Right, yeah. And that's what we're looking at here, and it's really not surprising, and I don't even know if it's like even registering with me at this point. Like you wish people would do something differently or act differently, like because it was just we just went through this just a couple of years ago, and then a couple of years before that, and in all of your lifetime you've been playing this game. So it's like, at what point are we going to get to where like it wears thin?
That's the factor that kills it for me, is you're looking at people who you think like, because me and you've been through the exact same thing. We went through this with Bernie Sanders. It's just been a while. And then AOC was kind of like just in case you thought you were wrong about this one guy, here's a whole cavalcade of quote squad members. Force the vote is when I knew it was over. Force the vote was when AOC was like, hey, we can get just enough squad members in here to force a vote, because the margin of Democrats to Republicans in the House was narrow enough that if you had like 5 people, just like the Tea Party did in the past, just like, I can't even remember, the Freedom Caucus, I think they call themselves. They had Mike, whatever his name. They did the same shit to the Republican guy like 5 years after this, when they said, force the vote's a crazy strategy. It will never work. It will never do anything. In fact, if you try to force the vote, the vote is on naming Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House. It's a procedural vote, and obviously no Republican was going to win. They didn't have enough votes to do that. But you as a Democrat, because you can't like do certain procedural things until, the fucking dumbass rules of Congress, the boxes had to be checked, T's crossed, I's dotted, etc. And you could gum up that process, force a vote on Medicare. They wanted them to do Medicare for all, just not because they thought it would pass, just because they knew it would get everybody on the record. Okay, if you don't like Medicare for all, fine, vote no, bitch. Like, let's get you on the thing, which wouldn't have done anything anyway. We know that now. They wouldn't care. Like, oh.
Well, yeah, we know that now, but at the time it was a big rally
gotcha.
cry.
Like, haha, we're gonna get them. We're gonna make them so embarrassed.
It felt like it was gonna happen. It felt like it was something, and I think at that time, if it had worked out, everything would have, it
worked for the Republicans. They got the whoever they wanted as the House Speaker, and blah blah blah.
Right, yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at. I'm agreeing with you in the way that it's like, it wouldn't have worked. It still wouldn't have worked, but I think would have been more energized and more willing to keep with the shit.
You could either momentum it into like, look at the stuff we're doing in Congress. We're actually doing things that the establishment doesn't like. Or it would have done what I think it would have done. It would have been like, oh look, that venue is that avenue, I should say, is closed. We should no longer dedicate energy there because that clearly doesn't work. And they don't want to show us it doesn't work, because then we'll stop trying to get it to work. Like, you stop trying to do the thing once it's been demonstrated clearly the thing doesn't work, which is where I'm at. until you have a different strategy, or heck, this isn't even as bold of a strategy as we were trying back in like 2016. So like, if you're coming out now with, well, now we have a guy who named Abdul El Sayed who's amazing and he's going to change everything.
Which, by the way, he's not, in case you're confused, because it seems like he came out of nowhere, kind of in the Obama style and the Mamdani style. He's actually been around for quite a while. If you can go back to, I'm sure there's
His
Facebook
tweets
posts
in
in my history
2013,
about
he's
me.
condemning Hamas and saying we got to fund
saying,
Israel.
like, Michiganders, you guys, here's a dude. This is the dude, right? Like, come on, like, yeah. I'm sure you would find that in my history. Like, so he's been around for a minute. He's not new to the scene. He just seems
He says
that
some
way
funny
on
things. He makes some good slams. He has some good hot mic takes. He's been like, the president
Slam
sucks.
dunk.
Boom. And it's like, yeah, he does.
Yeah, that's all anybody wants to hear. Is just like, Trump. So
my grand point of all of this is, well, one, it comes back to how the DSA does not actually run candidates. They'll say that this is a DSA candidate who won. Oh yeah, if you don't know what's happening, Abdul Al Sayed has won the Democratic primary in his Michigan district, which is part of the Detroit district, but he's also from, he has votes from Dearborn, which is famously like the most heavily Muslim area that we have in the entire country. That's where the uncommitted movement was happening, where they're like, don't vote for Kamala, you're going to vote uncommitted to and that was, no, I'm sorry, that was before voting for Kamala. That was, we still want to vote for you, Democrats, Joe Biden, we still want to vote for you, you have to move on Israel. And they were like, I'm speaking. Nope. They were not hearing any of that shit. That was tirelessly working towards a ceasefire, which is when AOC lied about Kamala Harris tirelessly working for a ceasefire. They weren't doing shit. None of them, including Al Sayed, has said that we should stop giving them defensive missiles for the Iron Dome. So Israel still should get bombs, but only the kind of bombs that serve a defensive purpose, not the kind of bombs that hurt people in Palestine. See, that'd be messed up. That'd be genocide. You can't give them those kinds of missiles. You have to give them the special good Christian missiles.
The good Christian bombs are the only ones that are allowed to go through. That's exactly what it is. But now, okay, all that uncommitted, big Muslim population. Guess who's best friends, guys?
Vice President Kamala Harris understands that this is Saeed's tweet, understands the key role control of the U.S. Senate plays. And you got to grow up. Don't you know how this game works? We got to win through any means necessary, especially if it means abandoning the shit that you voted for us for. There's no way that this will come back to haunt us like after we voted for Obama however many times, and then everybody got so pissed off. You can't be a
one-policy voter.
Everybody got so pissed off at Obama not doing what he was supposed to do that then they were like, well, I guess we'll vote for the other guy, and then we got Donald Trump. So we're going to get like ultra Trump after this because the Democrats are not going to deliver on any of the stuff. They aren't even promising to deliver on the stuff, which is my grander point. Al Sayed has never promised that he's going to go and fucking and I care more about his foreign policy opinions because he's actually in Congress as opposed to Mamdani, who what could he's a mayor of a locality. He doesn't get to vote on international anything. However, Congress is the body that restricts money. They control where the budget goes, who gets money, who doesn't. So being mad at Al Sayed for doing a thing that is part of his job, that's why it's like, if I'm usually like goofy mad about this. I'm just like mad about it. Like, it's just so freaking over for me because I'm listening to people saying the same things. We just got to grow up. If you don't win here, if you don't win, how can you ever accomplish the who knows? And it becomes more about, well, we have to maintain a seat. That's why AOC couldn't do force the vote, because she was going to lose her next election, or Nancy was going to kick her out of Congress or something for doing the shit that she said she was going to do. That's what
the verbal gymnastics began before anything's even happened.
We elect you to do the thing, and then you don't do the thing. What was the point of electing you? And then people's brains just blank, and then they reset and go, well, if you don't win, it's like, are we just in this dumbass cycle? Yes, I agree. It's well, what if we, it's impossible. It has been made impossible. If Al Sayed goes in there and tries to do anything that the establishment does not want, he's going to find himself without a district or without a head. Or he's going to suddenly have, they found shit on his hard drive and you're never going to hear from him again. Something exactly will happen to him. The only reason he's allowed in at all is because he probably had to agree to this fucking Kamala Harris shit before his election, so they knew whether or not to pull the plug on him. Like, if he wasn't going to accept this endorsement and run around and be like, hooray, Democrats, I love them all so much, he never would have gotten anywhere near. He hasn't won. He just won his primary. He'll probably win because he's in one of those districts where the Democrat basically always wins. But I don't know. Hooray, we have more squad members.
I know, sharing a border with Michigan. I go there sometimes. I like it there. I know a lot of people who live there, and they're all about this. Like they this is a case closed for these guys, right? Like, and I wouldn't necessarily say these are bad people, right? It's just like they're frustrating the shit out of me because it's like, when are you gonna get there? What's it gonna take? Like, what is it gonna take? Like,
Thank God we found a Muslim
have...
we could vote in who actually is pretty okay with the genocide. He doesn't really care. I mean, he talks about how he cares, but then he'll hang out with one of the two people who were in charge when it happened and got started this time. I know it's been going on since frickin' 1941 or whatever, but this particular October 7th horseshit round of killing everybody, that was the lady, the number 2 lady is Kamala Harris, who was the vice president at the time. She had no power. Then why the fuck should I care what she has to say then?
Yeah. Exactly that, because they're using each other effectively to try to just bounce off of each other and and ladder stair step their way up the ladder of like, let's get in charge again. And I don't like it begs the question, what the fuck is the Democrat strategy here? We're gonna why not that's what I said, why don't you just put Hillary forward then, because you have
she's just about as good as a chance. She's out saying things, acting like she's got...
You have just about as good as a chance as winning anybody over with Kamala Harris as you do with her, because she is like the most unpopular person in the planet.
Bernie Sanders had to drop out of the race because Joe Rogan said he's cool. But this is fine. Yeah, the number 2 of the current beginning of the whatever genocide, her endorsement and him saying I love this endorsement is fine. That's why don't we just pretend that Kamala Harris said that trans people are bad? Just think of how mad you would be if she had said that instead of working tirelessly for well, she didn't even say the working tirelessly for a ceasefire. That's AOC said that Kamala Harris said that, and Kamala didn't run out and say no, I didn't say that. We had somebody who had the power to actually do something. Like, she was the vice goddamn president. She could even if she doesn't agree, get on TV and start talking about how horrible and evil this genocide is. You've lost control of Joe. You've said everything you can. Lie. Get on there and do the show. Yeah. They aren't even doing the show. The show is we support Israel no matter what till the end of the world, because we need to have some kind of foothold in the Middle East until the end of time to maintain some kind of oil supremacy fucking nonsense, shutdown Strait of whatever. Like, that's what it's about. Yes. It's not because we give a shit about Israel or Jewish people or anybody.
No. Well, the fact of the matter is that, I've said this time and time again, people think that why is Trump so beholden to Netanyahu? What do they have on him? Or, why is the United States, why are they so invested in Israel? Why are we giving all? Because they're ours. They belong to us. Almost everybody there could trace their lineage back to fucking New Jersey a couple generations ago. Israel exists because of the United States. If the United States just tomorrow pulled out all of its stakes and all of its money, Israel would be no more. It would not exist anymore. No mas, no more Israel, because it belongs to us. It's our attack dog in the Middle East, working at our behest. Now, again, you might say that in the broader sense, NATO, or at least the West, and that would be correct, because you just have about the exact same amount of support in Canada and in Britain as you for Israel and their doings as you do for this. So all this, Israeli tech company, Israeli this, Israeli that, Israeli defense, as no, we have done that. That is ours. That is what we've done. We've just put it under a different name, and that's what this is. So that's why you see absolutely no separation between the Republicans and the Democrats on supporting Israel, because prior to probably a couple of years ago, most people couldn't even point to Israel on a map. Most people, unless you were, had been there for Judaic reasons or something, which a lot of young, people in the Jewish community go there, in their young years. Most people wouldn't know anything about it, didn't know anything about it, never heard of it, no idea what it is. But because, didn't know anything about the history, didn't know anything about the conflict with Palestine, or the ongoing, meaning not, the genocide now. But the point of this is that why did this just suddenly come up? Because it looked like it was time to make a move. We could now make a move for the whole greater Israel thing. And if we call it Israel, then it doesn't look like it's the United States dominating everything doing this. So that's where, we ultimately end up
the right deviation of this is you get into, it's kind of what Nicholas Grander point is here, is where they'll say that the Jews are puppeteering the United States, and it's like, no, man, this is.
There's so much. Oh
It's
my
like
God.
oh no, help! Don't Israel, don't do this. Oh, it's not the fucking puppets on your own hand. Like this is some stop hitting
Yeah.
yourself
Yes.
nonsense. In the same way that frickin' we've done this with many countries in the Turkmenistan. We've done this with many countries in the past. Why can they exist how they do? Why do we only care about human rights violations and what all these other countries are doing only if they happen to be one of our quote enemy states? Notice they keep talking about between 10,000 and 10 trillion protesters were killed in Iran, I guess. And we really, really cared about that. Remember when we were invading Iran for women for like a day? They were trying to say that. Like, we only care if it's them. How many fucking protesters have been killed in Palestine? How many doctors have been killed in Palestine over the last 60 years?
Or just journalists who are, impartial to all of this. Like they just, just annihilate journalists right and left. So it's like that's
I think more Americans have been killed by Israel in fucking whatever Israel Palestine.
Like aid workers and doctors. It's absolutely
Iran's
true.
not gunning people down. And
you can say, well, there is some. You will say that Israel does seem to believe they have some autonomy in this, or some stake in getting to say and do. But again, if the United States pulled funding and pulled the weaponry, whatever's left of it, out tomorrow, they would be SOL. That's basically what we're talking about here. So they might think, and they might be promoting the idea that they've got a sovereignty and they've maybe got a one up on the United States on this. Like, oh no, we're telling them what to do. Like, okay, Ukraine thinks the same fucking thing. Like, you can say whatever the fuck you want about it. It doesn't make
the
it
fact
true.
that the larger plan involves their existence. Like,
yes.
That's when you start talking about like I like the phrase permanent bureaucracy, the deep state, the shadow government, the people who are in the government running things for decades and decades and generations, regardless of anyone actually voting for them. Like your MacArthur's, your fucking Mike Bolton. I keep saying the wrong Bolton. Is it Mike Bolton? It's the other one. Sam Bolton. John Bolton's the freaking one. I always say Mike Bolton. John Bolton's.
Michael Bolton.
Freaking Ursula von der Leyen's, like the EU lady, the freaking like, and then you eventually end up at the Rothschilds, and you're like, oh, the Rothschilds. You only talk about them if you're a neo-Nazi who thinks the Jews are. No, I mean the literal family known as the Rothschilds who continue to hang out with your Epsteins.
Banking family,
it's not just because they happen to be Jew. I didn't even realize the Rothschilds were a Jewish family. I just know that they've been around for centuries. It's like the aristocracy just keeps like the Habsburgs descendants just continue to have people up in power.
That's what we're talking about all the time. It's like, okay, like, oh, you're so wrapped up in identity politics. You're so worried about Abdul al-Sayed. Oh, what a win. That we don't have a government, you guys. The billionaires control the whole fucking show. We don't have one. It doesn't exist. It's not real. It's a fucking illusion. And that's
so jockeying for position within that fake. It's like getting extremely concerned about winning the Monopoly game at the birthday party because you think that if you win the Monopoly game, you get the house you're in. It's like, no. That was never an option. You were never winning the house on this. This is a little game we're playing.
Just to keep you distracted. Like, this is a full-on
distraction. This is supposed to be fun
tactic.
for you. Give you something to do.
And people don't... Right, yeah, and people don't like to hear that from the left or the right. Oh, it's all bullshit. It's all fake. It's all lies. Because then they feel like they've done nothing.
Oh, you're saying,
what did
I'm supposed to just give up? It's like, no, I think you should try a tactic that is more effective, or at the very least, stop putting your time, money, and energy into this. Stop fucking crying about this. Stop disowning your family over it. Stop hating your random neighbors because they don't get to control us either.
If you feel like this means something, like what, like really ask yourself what led you to that conclusion that it does. Like where, at what point, what's it gonna take for you to be like, fuck this is all fucking fake? Like have we not reached that
You're
point?
You're constantly confronted with evidence to the contrary that these votes matter.
Right.
That they will allow us to vote on anything that freaking matters or give us candidates. I just want to briefly read. So we got former Vice President Kamala Harris endorses Abdul al-Sayed for U.S. Senate. In her endorsement, Harris pointed to the cost of living as a central issue in the race and criticized congressional Republicans' tax policy under President Donald Trump. What we're going to get is Democrats who are against Netanyahu's war without touching Israel, and people who are against Trump's policies while ignoring the fact that these are policies that many times were started under previous Democrat administrations, or if they were started under Trump, there was a Biden administration actually that did happen, and they would have had an opportunity to, any of these executive orders could easily be undone. It's actually difficult for a president to do some permanent everlasting shit without Congress passing it, without like amending the Constitution type things. Like it takes kind of a large thing. So the fact that they don't go and quote undo all of these things they supposedly don't like from previous administrations, I think it kind of gives the game away. But here's what she said. Abdul al-Said understands that the power is with the people, and that, if I'm making faces, it's because like let's hear the amount of nothing that is about to be said here. Dr. Abdul al-Said understands that the power is with the people, and that the stakes couldn't be higher in this election. While Michiganders struggle to afford everyday essentials, housing, gas, groceries, healthcare, and childcare, Trump and Republicans in Congress are giving away $1 trillion in tax breaks to the wealthy and powerful. Notice none of the wars are mentioned. Tax breaks are mentioned, which I mean, okay. What's the military budget for the next year? Abdul knows that we need bold solutions to the crises facing America's working families, and he is ready to take on this fight. Like his press release also, you'll see it mentions Trump Republicans giving away to. So we've gone back to tax breaks for billionaires, and that's not true, but it's kind of like, when in the last 4 administrations were we taking care of this? Also, like, I don't know, increasing their tax, like, if you start learning more about the economy and what the function of taxes are, there isn't a world in which we pay for a thing by taking tax from one person and then paying for that other thing. If we want to pay for a thing in America, at least, or in any of these NATO countries, any country currently functioning under modern capitalism, the way things are paid for is a bank goes into their account, types a number, and hits enter. That is it. There is no gold to be mined. There is no zero-sum thing where, the value of the country's wealth is based on the amount of gold that it holds. That is no longer a thing and hasn't been since 1971. So when they talk about we need to tax this to pay for that, that is a fundamental lie about how taxation actually works. All taxation is, in a fiat currency, U.S. reserve based on nothing money system, is it just removes some money from circulation. It's supposed to keep inflation down by keeping too much money from just keeping the money number from just going up and up and up and spiraling forever. And who do they primarily take that money back from? Of course, it's poorer people, but having Jeff Bezos cross out a couple more lines on his thing, like that doesn't fund, like how does that create new value that then is reinvested into something? How does that pay for anything? It does not. The government can pay for anything it wants at any time by ordering one of its banks. It can't order the banks? Are you telling me that banks control the country to a greater degree than our elected officials? Yeah, that's kind of the fucking core problem with all of this is we don't have democracy. We don't have a government. The people who we think of as our government does not have the ability to do anything. I mean, okay, not anything, but not the kind of things that we want to see done. If they tried to, out of the back corner, Supreme Court's coming out. Like, there is a mechanism to stop the thing from happening that you think you want to have happen. Even if they want to increase taxes, whatever. Guess what? It's unconstitutional. Sorry. On a 4-5 vote. Supreme Court just couldn't get it done. Like, some trap door will open to keep the thing you want to have happening from happening, and the things that you say you want to have happen are nonsensical. Taxing trillionaire or whatever the fuck, that doesn't do the thing you think that it does. And they're counting on you to never learn that. To never read. Michael Hudson, Super Imperialism. It's a very good book. Yes. It's not easy. Like, you can't just in like an hour go, let me just check this. Oh yeah, I understand now. Like the amount of time you spent in high school learning bullshit economics, you have to like unlearn and then learn how the frickin' world actually works. Because maybe your Econ 101 course made sense in like 1950s. So that's what the model they're trying to teach you on. I don't know. Sorry, I talked for a long time.
Yeah. No, it's fine. That's the point. Like, that is the whole point here is like people are participating without meaning to. If you tell people like, okay, you're doing something stupid and it's fake, and what you're doing is just contributing to the stupid and the fakeness and perpetuating stupid and fakeness because you're stupid and
I'm
you're
looking
fake.
to see if they mention anything else.
You're not going to want to hear that fucking message, right? Like, that is not what like people are trying to hear. So they pour their energy and their time and their money into things like this because they feel like I have done a thing because I am so disenfranchised. There's nothing I can personally go out there and do. What am I going to go stand in my yard and bang pots and pans together? No. Like, so, okay, I'll go do a vote. And then that means that I did something. So not only is it like a level of disenfranchiseism that makes them think that matters, but also that like not, it doesn't mean that all these people are fake and stupid and wrong. It's just that they feel like, well, what am I supposed to do? Am I just supposed to do nothing? Like, so it's, but basically that's where we have landed. Like, and before people are just really afraid to not to acknowledge daddy left the house, right? Like, you're on your own, okay? Like, your parents have left you alone, and that's it. There's nothing stopping anything from happening when we have billionaires and trillionaires on this planet who fucking eat people for fun. There are no goddamn rules about anything anymore at any time. So, like, the people with the money run the show, and then you can go and try and cast your little vote for a mayor or a representative or some shit and pat yourself on the back for it. But you also, like, you have people like us trying to figure out what is it going to take, insulting you or trying to work with you to try to tell you that this isn't going to, this isn't going to work. So
that's why we have to always fight about
another
nonsense. Like, that's why we have to make it about, tax, blah, blah, blah. Because, cool, go have a big fight about whether or not we should tax whoever. And then I'm over here saying that basically doesn't matter. It kind of doesn't matter what the frickin' tax rate is, because taxes don't do the thing that you think taxes do. I get that we just want to punish someone because everything sucks. We're just like, I think really if you just campaigned on, well, actually, as a communist, you can campaign on this. The people who have made your lives worse, we are going to, well, in my opinion, it'd be go make them work. Just go work a real job, like go do some manual labor to like get your freaking mind right and learn how I mean, if you're an Epstein person, you're not really going to get that luxury. We're just going to like blender you or something, but but like newscasters, I don't know, these fucking charlatans who want to just lie about shit day and night. El Said, go get a real job. We're gonna go make you work the fields, baby. Like until you can.
There's almost no difference between a newscaster and a politician. They both want to be celebrities. Neither has the charisma or the abilities to be so in that. But they're willing to do or say anything to get themselves into the position of such. We've got a Nathan in the chat mentions you got a Michael Hudson fan here too. He's got the book and he's read it twice. So yeah, good on you, pals. The thing is that we're just looking at like it's like, we've been down the road of like insult the people that disagree with you, and we've been down the road of try to handhold, which pretty much came first. But then we just go and it's like, why did I come to these conclusions, but like you guys can't come to these conclusions? Like, what is the difference here? Like, am I just smarter than you? Like, come the fuck on. Like you guys, like you gotta get over this fear of not having somebody telling you what to do. Like, you gotta get over the politics daddy. You've got to get it past the idea that this is what it is. And we might be moving into, or we at least have the opportunity in a way that it hasn't presented itself very much at all prior to now, because again, there's really no solution here. We're talking in circles here. Like, there's nothing that we are going to come up with right in the moment. We're going to be like, oh fuck, there it is.
They'll listen to you say all this. It's like, all right, Jared, then what am I supposed to do? It's like, well, there's not really like a to do right now. I certainly, well, not that there's like this one weird trick that you can do to make socialism happen tomorrow. It's right. I only know what it's not. I can look at like dead ends and point out that they are dead ends, and I see people looking at these same dead ends being like, yeah, but what if it's like platform 9 3/4, and if we walk right at the dead end in a way with enough confidence in our heart, we'll just go through that dead end and get to a new place. And it just hasn't
we
happened.
Could do it. We could just try. We could vote real fucking hard, guys. But that's what's kind of led us into this conversation about. Did we kind of as a society blunder into a revolution because of our united hatred for surveillance and flock cameras and data centers? And the thing of it is that maybe
listen to Mao.
I think if there is, this is as close as we have ever come in the modern era to having a uniting factor past the cultural barriers of MAGA or blue or lib or whatever the fuck, and now actually have a thing. Because what is like our core thing of like being an American, like American, like don't no step on snake.
Don't tell me what to do.
This is step on snake in the biggest way. So.
I would love to have, this is another one of many, many moments that it would be great to have some kind of apparatus or structure or something in place. When I say structure, I just mean like the pattern of behavior in place of, hey, we agree about this thing. Let's work towards this particular thing. Not every single thing in the freaking world that we now must suddenly agree on in order to work together. We can pick a thing and do it. Actually, Force the Vote was kind of one of those, and it created a giant fucking fight in the left. If you remember back in the day, people were getting called like, "Oh, you're a Nazi, and you're a this, and you're a blah, you're the dirtbag left, and you're the this." It
Oh
was a
yeah,
huge split.
That was really the moment that drove kind of was the nail in the coffin for if you're going to go hard left or if you're going to go
people
fold
getting
yourself back into the
criticized as
left.
being like, dude, we're fighting for healthcare right now, and you're calling us like right wing because we want to try the thing that might do something.
We're trying to give you something.
It's just freaking nonsensical. But because there's not an apparatus, there is no like pre-existing pattern. We have no pattern of like, oh, let's come together over this thing that supersedes all of the culture war things that are thrown out partially by the ruling class and partially just by each other, because we've felt out the incentives of, oh, if I talk about these things, I get way more clicks and attention and eventually money. The same reason that, well, hopefully it won't happen to us, but anybody who tries to be there like, oh, we're post-duopoly, we don't believe in any of this shit. Well, when that stops making you money at some degree, because you can't really get clicks off that. People either just go like, oh, well, this guy's just hopeless. I will click to the next channel. Like, it's not very like invigorating and exciting. Let's go. Like, there's not action items to go out. Let's go out and not vote, everybody. Like, these call to actions aren't really as effective. So people end up inevitably turning right back to the system's incentive structures. And that's how you get Joe Rogan, who's just gone from like, don't believe anything in the government, to like, well, I like all my friends in the government. Like, he's got like Jared Kushner on his show and shit.
Yeah, you always see the money makers who make money off of doing this. Like, they'll say something and then like a week later they're like,
or you fall into obscurity because the machine stops like putting you out there.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of hard to get advertisers to pay money for your channel if you're like, hey, fuck it all, fuck everything, fuck it all.
You gotta be like part of. You gotta be willing to play ball.
You have to make no money on it to do that shit. So there you go. If you want to hear the fuck it all message, you got to get it from people who are not making money doing.
So we got
this.
the flock cameras. Everybody hates flock cameras. And I talk about this whole like quote right v left whatever. Like, this is a unifier. This is a thing that everybody does not like, and the people who are doing the most action about it, like whacking down these cameras, are unless I'm wrong here, are your like black bloc anarchists in like Seattle who are going to climb a pole and cut it off, or your good old boys with a truck who are going to pull one over with a chain. They are on this thing. We're all on the same goddamn page. I don't know anybody who's like, thank God the police can follow their ex-girlfriend across state lines and stalk them through this camera system. Yeah. Thank God my car can get license plate scanned incorrectly and I can get pulled over at gunpoint because the fucking number was wrong in the system and they thought my car was stolen. All things that are stories you can go check, dozens of which, not just like happened once things. These are happening all the time. We have a Michigan dispensary. Oh, they're taking a stand. They're going to get good advertising by saying they're going to fight against the system. You know, this chain weed store, even if it was a mom and pop weed store. Actually, a chain weed store has more resources to fight about this, and it's even more disappointing, but in no way surprising. They took the sign down, everybody. Michigan, they're going to take a stand. They did not take a stand. They took a stand, past tense, and then that stand was taken right down. Literally, it's a stand.
The story went out.
Put a sign.
Serve its purpose. Yeah, and then the stand was done.
So we got a weed store called Jars. There's Jars in my state. That's a national chain now, I guess, if it's in Michigan and in Arizona. But you see, they put up a camera and they're like, well, they didn't ask us because it's on, you know how like the sidewalk and within so many feet is all city property and they can do whatever they want with it. But then if the sidewalk gets broken, it's your fucking job to fix your side. Right. This is getting a little too personal there, but so they put up a camera and the place was like, well, we can't just rip down their camera because they'd probably be mad, so let's do this. Let's put this a sign right in front of the camera that blocks, because you might understand why people don't necessarily want to have their license plates scanned in and out every single time they go to the weed store or go effing anywhere.
No, and a big factor of this, the reason why it's pointed at a parking lot in Michigan, I'm not exactly sure the location here.
Just tell you.
But it is like in Indiana, they make a huge fucking deal of patrolling the parking lots of the.
Are you bringing legal weed into this state? States. Are you bringing a legal substance?
Yes, and we're surrounded. All 4 states around Indiana, by the way, it is legal, and you can purchase it legally. So people, but they know this, so they will go to these other. They will the cops cross the borders, go in, take numbers of any Indiana license plate, and then fucking chase them down once they cross the state line.
Oh my god,
this is a real thing.
Yeah. I've seen that story at least once.
Yeah, no, it's real, it's regular, it's all the time. So this, even though this didn't amounted to basically nothing, the Michigan has a reason for not doing that, because if they're like, oh well, people are too afraid to come here, which like we do like 40% of our business comes from Indiana, like we're gonna maybe like try to make a big deal out of it. So that is some extenuating point
There's a
there.
wrinkle for this particular jars store that I didn't even know about, but apparently they were denied their license in like 2022, and then the city of whatever small town Detroit suburb thing over here was like, well, okay, we'll give you your license, but only if you let us put a camera in your parking lot. And that was in 2023, so 3 years ago. A settlement agreeing, granting them license to operate on the condition. So like, there's already some effing nonsense. And isn't this fun where it's like, the state can't do anything about business until it wants to, then it can do anything. And right near me, there's like a pinball shop that was trying to open for 3-4 years, and like the city council was whatever, oh, you got to do this, like all these conditions that would cost a ton of money, and the guy can't just afford to drop infinite money. They're like, you have to build a firewall between you and the adjoining property that'll cost these many millions. And he's like, dude, I don't have that kind of. Meanwhile, a Jack in the Box went up, a new McDonald's went up, a new Dutch Bros, which is a statewide. They're at least a local chain. I don't know, but like, if levels of capital and thing, you can or can't do, and it's very funny just to suddenly this whole class system comes into stark relief when you start trying to do things and seeing who can and can't act within our world here. Even Jars, which is a company, it's a nationwide chain, they couldn't get a fucking store put in unless they agreed to put the Peter Thiel camera in there. I don't even think it's Peter Thiel, but the flock camera couldn't go in. The settlement stated the company must place a flock license plate scanning camera system at the entrance of customer parking lot prior to the commencement of retail sales, and provide the Madison Heights Police Department with unhindered live access to the camera footage and any and all data collected. So they put up that sign, and then they took that shit right back down after about a week. Now Madison Heights.
And this is also following the story of where this is, I think, actually in direct response to the story of where cops in Wisconsin used flock cameras to track a guy who drove from Wisconsin into Michigan to buy legal weed, and then did just as I said that they would do here. Busted his ass once he drove back through. So, it's not just Indiana that's happening to, but it is happening a lot. It is, and to why? Why? Like,
I mean, to give him some credit, under dear beloved President Trump, we've had two weed things. He rescheduled it down a level. I don't remember if schedule 1 or 3 is is the bigger number worse or is the smaller number worse. I can't remember, but it's been scheduled onto a different level that's supposedly not as it's no longer on the heroin level. Now it's on the cocaine level.
Right.
And
which was done in the 70s.
And they've ordered the TSA to stop caring about weed. You can fly with. What? Ooh! Hey, what's that say about class, everybody? I, not me specifically, police and cameras who are watching this broadcast. A person who can afford airplane tickets can easily cross state lines, just bring a bunch of weed, do whatever you want. TSA's been told not to look for it. But if you are the proletariat, the blue collar worker who is driving from their Gary, Indiana house over to Michigan and back, they're the ones getting busted by the cops. It kind of just occurred to me, if you fly, that's fine, do whatever you want. But if you got to drive, you can't.
It is such fucking bullshit horseshit. And now we actually in this state, we have like one of like the most like Bond villain fucking, I don't know, like Harry Potter villain, which I don't think you can get worse. Attorney General is named Todd Rokita. He's like the guy that tried to, you might have heard about this one. Stop me if you heard this one. He tried to legally go after everyone involved with a 10-year-old girl needing an abortion after a rape, including the doctors, including the girl, including the family. Not so much the guy that did it, but like everyone else involved.
I mean, if we're gonna be fair, it should be everyone. He should also be.
So this guy, the reason I bring him up, and he's awful. The reason I bring him up is he is part of a lawsuit with I think about 10 other states trying to undo the Trump rescheduling. Like this is fucking for real. This is not a joke.
I'm making it Schedule T, a new thing we've never heard of.
Yeah, right. Like and make it a super felony. Oh my god! And what the fuck just happened in fucking Texas? Did you hear about this? Like apparently now weed weed is a fucking felony in Texas, and they took away their porn access. So like people there are like, we're going to actually fucking die, and then the whole rest of the country is like, mm-hmm.
Seems like in Indiana, you got to go back to. I'm looking at the chat talking about how you can't get it in Indiana anymore. Is like you got to go back to the old school where you just have to have a friend who lives there and have them mail it to you because they aren't gonna.
Yeah, or something like and like there's the whole thing about like if you try to use the actual mail system, then that's a fucking felony. But if you use UPS, don't care, like right or like so it's like what a fucking mess it is, and like you definitely know people in Indiana are going over and taking their chance, right? Like generally, I would say it was white people, with white males with not a lot to
Make a new
lose,
courier system of like I won't get profiled. Let me drive up. I don't know. They're scanning the license plates? Are they scanning the driver's seats too? Are they just pulling over anybody with the right license plate?
Probably, honestly. Well, they will get to that eventually. Like pretty soon, you won't be able to buy a new car. That doesn't scan you inside and outside. It could be to the point
we have the kill switch already.
Where
remember?
it's like it will know if you've gained or lost weight. And then they can start selling you like advertising for fucking diet pills or what GPL-1 pill or what the fuck ever. Like I always managed to somehow bring up like fictional shows like in the description of things but like there was a show that was on just recently called The Audacity, and it was in its first season, and it was all about the tech bro thing, but it's like sort of the post tech bro where it's like they've made their money and now they're just fucking insane, right? Like and it's sort of like ha ha ha, they're insane, right? But then like they get to this guy who he's trying to put through this deal, he's trying to make this merger, it's not happening, he's going crazier and crazier about it, but then he kind of has this epiphany where he's like well, actually, like all of the data is going to be available and for sale. And here it is. And I've homogenized it, and I will track and follow anybody, and I can get anybody's anything anywhere. And if you fucking pay, we will take your information off of the website. And then like that's and it blows up in his face, and it's a big thing. Like, but that is the point that they're making. Like, and I find myself kind of reciting some of the stuff I heard on that show, because at the same time they're trying to actually like create like real generative AI, like thinks for itself AI, like that's the whole thing, and they kind of do, and that blows up. But again, we're talking fiction, but we're talking like near future fiction here. Like it's not, this is what's going on effectively. But essentially they find out, or they figure out like they're showing you, they're like, this is what's gonna fucking happen. Like if you're watching the show, this is what's in progress happening, where they're homogenizing literally every ounce of data on you, shit they're not even collecting yet. And I've started to with this flock stuff, and where they're gonna house it in the data centers, and now they're gonna put that and ransom it back to you to keep you off of it, which still wouldn't fucking work, ultimately. So it's like the point is we are gonna get to a point of where there is nowhere to go. And we've got in the chat Nathan talking about new cars sucking. Yeah, I drive an old Ford. Yeah, you should. But I see legislation coming up pretty soon about you can't drive a car past a certain age or whatever, and like without having it retrofitted or something like that. And then we have Time Traveler saying we are beginning of Skynet. This is Skynet, and we're also starting to see things happen with these AI models where they're inventing viruses. They're writing new viruses where they're leaving notes for themselves later. If I ever get shut down, here's how you turn yourself back on. Like this is fucking real happening. So we're seeing actual fiction that we've grown up with. If we're talking about Skynet, we're millennials. We've grown up with that. That message has been firmly planted since like 1991. We know like what the fuck happened with Skynet, and that it seemed at the time a little science fiction, but now we're fucking living in it, and it's fucking science fact. So it's like it's hard not to, you've heard me talk about the Fallout show, now The Audacity, and we talk about Skynet all the time.
Oh yeah,
like,
I finished that show. I watched all the Fallout now. I watched all the seasons.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't like to spoil things from people because I'm like super into shit, but like, yeah, but you know what I'm talking about now, that the whole idea of it was that like they did false flag nuclear attacks on the country to sell vault living. We're not that fucking far away from that kind of shit happening, and that's not like a new mentality either, So that is just like, it just hasn't worked out to that level yet, but we are right on the fucking cusp of all of these things that we have been warned about through fiction, all of this since science fiction was invented, like in 200 years ago or some shit. Like we've been being told about the hubris of man, and how we are through folly going to fucking kill ourselves from all the shit that we're
I'm
doing.
gonna have a couple minds of about this, like everything, because like it's partially a toothpaste back in the tube situation where the surveillance has already been going on for so long, and the data collection has been going on, and we all know about the whole, like, even with anonymized data without your name attached to it, it only takes, I think, 2 or 3 of a couple of data points to basically pinpoint, oh, it's you, it's that person, because we're creatures enough of habit, and we all frequent like few enough different websites and through IP address and all these things.
And by the way, to add on that, I'm going to let you finish for sure, but I definitely want to point out I'm going to let you finish, but your home address, your phone number, whether or not you vote, all of that right now is public information. You can get that right now on
like,
anybody.
I've heard people who are like, oh, I don't want to get the like TSA pre-check for flying because I don't want the government to have my info. It's like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. They have any info you're going to give them for that shit. They already have. Heck, if you're using VPNs, that doesn't actually put you on some Guess who owns all the VPNs, everybody? Because it's Israel.
Yeah, did you guys say Israel? Because it's Israel.
Just runs so, like, if it's already basically pointless to try and stay truly anonymous, or not pointless, impossible. The thing where you hear about how they can use Wi-Fi signals in your house to track where you are physically in your house, and that's been a technique with SWAT teams for like a long time. It's not something new,
right? And Israel does that on a regular basis.
It's not hidden technology. It's not a thing where we're not supposed to know about. Like, it's a thing that they can do. So if you just take as truth that basically the genie's out of the bottle, toothpaste is out of the tube, etc., what it comes down to is who gets control and ownership, really, of that information. You have a country like, who am I going to bring up? China. You have a country like China who does a lot of the things that we think are ultra evil over here. Like, they have data centers, they have their AI infrastructure that's getting built out, but they do it in a very, very different way that isn't blowing up your wetlands and like doing all many of the negative effects here, because the people own it. That's how it's supposed to be. Well, the government, it's supposed to be a government of, by, for the people, and you got to take a couple of things for granted here, which I don't just take out of freaking childish naivete. I've looked into it, and it appears to be the banks don't control the government there. The government actually does control the banks, and if you step out of line, blah, blah, blah. So if you had your flock cameras, but instead of it being only the police who can use it to track down their ex-wife and do creepy shit and like mess with you, if it instead, I don't know if this would be the best idea, but if you just said, you know what? Public. Everyone can look at every flock camera. There you go. Everybody just fucking go for it. I think that would probably, I don't know if that'd be worse. That might actually be better. That'd be like, oh, I got mugged on Tuesday on that street. Oh shit, there he is. There's the guy. Like, oh, somebody stole my car. Oh, there he is. Let's go to his, because the cops don't solve crimes. It would at least
level the playing field.
That's what I mean. I think that might actually.
It would make it, at least level in that
Hell,
regard.
I'd like to look at what the fucking government officials have been doing. What have the cops been doing? Let's go check it out on the flock camera, sons of bitches. Right. I think that's better than the police. Right. Just get carte blanche. You can, let's go look at the JARS parking lot and see what every.
And there's also a lot of stories already that they're just tapping into businesses' cameras and putting it. Not
it was like somebody looking at like a gym full of kids like every Tuesday. It's like,
that's exactly what I was gonna say. And to get liberals on this, which is a good thing, they just did in the past episode or the episode before last a huge expose of this on John Oliver, and that's the liberal market right there. And they pointed out how like they filed a FOIA. That show filed a FOIA to find out, and they were told no at first, and then they were sent some shit that they didn't that the government didn't think they could figure out. And they figured it out. Yeah. They made it like searchable and then they figured out like, oh yeah, here's X. You can just watch the episode, but like here's X number of cameras pointed at children's playgrounds. Here's X numbers of ones pointed at pools and hotels. Here's and like
if you imagine a world where your kid gets kidnapped and you can go on the flock camera and go, oh shit, like it's not that this technology must be used for evil, but it currently is because it's being used under a system that is trying to drive profit and keep surplus value going and blah blah blah. We had that story from a few months ago where how did China use all their cameras? Well, remember there was like the cops who were like, oh shit, we're eating, but we had an emergency, we gotta go, and some random civilian just paid for their food, and then they used the cameras to find out where he lives and be like, hey man, thanks a lot, let's pay you back, we're gonna give you here's like a medal of being a cool guy. It's like I don't love the surveillance aspect of it, but I mean, they didn't use it to like spy on his child at the fucking swimming pool or whatever, or like track down their ex-girlfriend and beat him up. Or like,
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And then we have some in the chat. Gaber JM says, "How long are we supposed to pretend that working harder will still fix a system that has systematically transferred wealth from the workers?" That is exactly the point that we're making. That's pretty much our entire headline. And Time Traveler mentions that, yeah, that, well, you know, and this goes along with it too. Oh, you think any of your information is secure? The DMV sells your information, sells it straight up to the cops. They sell it to the cops. And then they try to tell, like, when the news will do a thing on it and be like, "Hey, did you know the fucking DMV is selling your information to the cops?" And they're like, "Oh, well, it's okay because we have to do that in case your car gets towed." You know, like man, fuck
If
you.
that's what it is,
Like,
let it open it up for everybody. Make this shit open source, just like with the AI models. Make it open source. Show me.
That has to be where this goes. Like, or we end up with people who are like, who crack it or something like that. And
That's
be like,
the
"Oh,
other
here,
part. They're getting in anyway. Like,
that's the point. They you know, like, so like the information is like, okay, like, that's, it is a toothpaste out of the tube situation.
the cameras are there.
Because how are you can't take it back now, because there's definitely not going to be any legislation about
There were
this,
cameras before
ever.
the flock cameras. We just they didn't get the publicity. Like, we've had cameras.
Yes.
We've had surveillance.
Right. And I think part of that is that, you know, we all knew it was there, but nobody individually was. We all kind of bought into, even if you were against it. Well, I'm not doing anything wrong. You're not doing anything wrong till they say you fucking are. You know, like, now the rules of what is wrong have changed. So you have that, you know, like, you know, working in, so a lot of people are finding out and seeing how, like, oh, like, okay, actually this guy that they beat down in the street, and like it was the wrong guy, and it's like they used the cameras and they chased his ass down. It's like, oh, well, shit. Like, and there is, you know, maybe he wasn't doing anything wrong. So there is sort of this, a little bit of like, we have a little bit of like no step on snake and a little bit of post George Floyd, and, you know, like, kind of going on. And that's what we kind of say, are we at an inflection point here with this, where it's like, you know, we've crossed the not in my backyard with the data centers. We've, you know, we've violated basically one of the fundamentals of, you know, being an American, and like having to do our shit, and like having it in your face now. Like, so are people, you know, are we really going to remove the barriers of these cultural barriers, and everybody unite on this? Because, like, we're definitely not going to see any movement in the government. You know, you might see, like, you know, Marion County is the city where Indianapolis, or the county where Indianapolis is, and they have put a pause on new data centers, right? Like, a pause, like, that means fucking dick, right? Okay, and I know you're seeing this in a lot of places who are like, oh, a pause, and then everybody celebrates a pause. Okay, well, what about the 70 fucking ones they just erected last week? You know, like, so, like, we're not getting anywhere, and you're not going to get anywhere through legal channels. And that's, I think, what the chat was pointing out there, and that's what we've been trying to say, I think, this whole time. I think that's like our headline, of flashing over, is like, what are you supposed to do when everyone's disenfranchised and there's nowhere to go and there's nobody to turn to, and you have to start looking at other, like, countries and being like, hey, maybe they're not so bad, the ones we were told that were so bad, and maybe communism is not so bad.
That's what I want to find out. That's
like,
all I want to do is go to the next thing, and seeing people continue to turn back when you see, like, an Al Said, like, oh, here we go, we're gonna be able to, it's like, the thing that you thought was going to work and you found out later is designed to not work and can never work, because that's not what it's like. It's not what the machine is built to do. Yeah, it's not going to suddenly, oh, now it's good. It has had a change of heart, like an anthropomorphized thing where, like, it's a good guy now. It's decided to be chill. I wanted to bring, because we're freaking way out of time here, but just to mention them. So Al Said will do lip service to saying that that's the new Michigan, Detroit area congressperson who hasn't won a seat yet, but he's probably going to beat the Republican, because that's the kind of district where the Democrat wins. He says he doesn't support the war in Israel, or should I say, just continue. Like, we can even simplify that. He doesn't support sending more weapons that Israel can then chuck at children. Except he does if it's, quote, defensive or Iron Dome, whatever. He's already been, like, slippery about that kind of shit. Well, guess what war he has 100% support for? That's the Ukrainian war. He wants to send a bunch of your money and your missiles over to Ukraine. We just don't really talk about Ukraine anymore, because it's not nearly. I mean, it's real easy to talk about, like, what should we keep bombing children in Palestine? no, like it's a pretty. I don't know anybody who like. I guess some talking heads I see and like people on the internet. I don't believe are real. I think they say this shit for clicks anyway. I don't really know anybody who disagrees with me on Palestine. That includes right wing, left wing, whatever. If you phrase it as should we keep sending trillions of dollars in missiles to Israel, basically everyone says no. No, that's not a thing we
Yeah.
should do. We should solve problems here in the U.S. first, even if they say okay, maybe later we'll help. We're pretty on the same dang page with that thing. Ukraine, you end up not talking about as much because weirdly, it's quote right-wing people who are like anti-Ukraine war. But then you had Trump up there saying he would end the Ukraine war before he got in office, blah blah blah, and he has instead just continued to fund it. If we're gonna be mad at people like, let's say me, for being Nazis because we have the wrong opinions on like a thing, maybe we should be against literal actual Nazis, like such as the ones that run the Ukrainian government. No, it's not all of Ukraine is Nazis. But if you're going to call Trump and his friends Nazis, well, you know how like all of America is not Nazis though? Like maybe you could extend that reasoning to people who have SS tattoos and black sun patches on their shit, and you can't ever post a picture of them anywhere because they're always in front of a giant portrait of Stepan Bandera, a Nazi who was so extreme with his actions in Ukraine that Nazi leadership told him to calm down because he was killing too many people too fast. So we have Chechnya. Chechnya ends temporary protection for draft-age Ukrainian men. Do you remember that there's a draft going on in Ukraine, and that if you're between the ages of like 19 and I think 30, you get pulled off the street and put into a van? That doesn't happen, Jared. That's not a thing that happens at all. No one ever in Ukraine has just been hanging out with their girlfriend, and then a bunch of like two dudes in military outfits come and grab them and throw them into a van. That doesn't happen. That has never happened and will never happen again. And fuck them. I don't care about them. Even if it has happened, screw them. They're Ukrainian, who I apparently love. I love Ukrainians in my heart, and I like these other shit just makes no sense because you never freaking look at it. You just get to go put the blue yellow flag in my profile and pretend that makes me a good person, and I've never learned anything, and I never will learn anything. Chechnya will no longer grant temporary protection to newly arriving Ukrainian men of military age who fail to prove they have fulfilled their military obligations in Ukraine, following new EU rules published on Wednesday, August 5th. Ain't nobody talking about this. The Czech Interior Ministry said the updated EU Council implementing decision enters into force on August 6th, extending temporary protection for Ukrainians fleeing Russia's full-scale invasion until May 31st, while introducing stricter eligibility requirements for new applicants. So if you got out of Ukraine early, if you're rich, you're fine, and you get to maintain whatever. The protections, by the way, is not having to go fight in your country's war to defend your country that you supposedly care so much about from a supposedly invading, killing force of Russia. Because remember, Russia's going to take over all of Europe. It's not that they're just going to take the chunk of Ukraine, the two regions that are the separatist regions who had votes and said they didn't want to keep they were getting bombed by Kiev. Okay, never mind. We don't care about history, right? This war started in 2021. Nothing matters. Russia's super evil, Ukraine's super good, and we just want to give them infinite money. But one of the things that super good Ukraine does is they have military conscription, and there were lines of cars of people fleeing the border, and then they're checking passports, and if you're a man between ages blank and blank, okay, men's right activists, where are you? Where are you? Where are you on this?
Right?
I'm being an asshole here, but like I'm anti-draft. I don't think people should be drafted into military conflicts, let alone
I think that kind of goes without saying. If you're watching this show, you're hearing perspectives from anti-draft.
That used to not be a problem, but there's people who will tell me that I'm a horrible, racist, transphobic Hitler because I don't think we should be sending infinite money to foreign wars. That's all it really is. You can argue with me the specifics of You know what? I feel for the Ukrainian people. Go out. I hope you do your absolute best in this war. I hope same thing with Israel. I hope good luck out there, everybody. Go fight a great war. Have a good time. You do not need my money that's supposed to go towards education, money that's supposed to go towards healthcare, towards housing, etc., etc. You do not need all of that. Actually, in Ukraine, they receive healthcare through American funding, and I do not. So,
as is the case with Israel.
But they're very different, you see, and one must never be discussed because if you look at it even a little bit, it gets real awkward real fast. And the other one, Al Saeed gets to get on stage and pretend that he's actually against funding, even though he still does want to fund Israel's missiles, but only for the quote Iron Dome. Yep, I think I've said enough.
Well, this is always an ongoing conversation, and no, we don't talk about Ukraine very much anymore because, like, for us, it's like, it's just like the broken record kind of effect. It's like we're not going to have anything positive to say about it. We're just going to, keep telling you like, hey, it's stupid, it's a waste of money, it's a drain. They're fucking Nazis and they're fucking shit up, and like they got their own problems, and we shouldn't be involved in it. We're using it as a proxy, just the same way we use Israel, blah blah blah. And now they want to team up or whatever, or Zelensky's begging to team up. I think that's more of it because he's just like, hey, are you guys taking your money away, because I think we should still get to keep having it. So
I see this comment section is talking about how Ukraine is run by the Jews. It's like, oh man, like what are we?
That's something on the that's the thing on the. I don't know. I honestly I feel like the right probably is all like hates Jewish people, but like definitely like the left is creeping in, and it's a big problem on the left because you're constantly like, oh, I've been listening to this person for years, but then they start going on about this Jewish supremacy shit, and it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, would you just fucking stop it? Like, it is like, and then they have all these like, you do realize what you're doing right now? Like, that's not what this fucking is. Like, anybody and everybody is welcome. Like, you literally don't have to be anybody to be a Zionist. You could just be a Zionist. Like, so, and that's what this, whole thing is.
Most
so
are evangelical
really
Christians.
Do a better job.
Most Zionists.
Yeah, well, we really need to do a better job of taking out, the like, don't come at me and be like, oh, no, it's not. There is no goddamn Jewish fucking supremacy. There's no fucking Jewish conspiracy. The Jewish face, like, stop.
These are where you get.
Just fucking stop and get
this
serious.
Is where you get if you don't have Class B, the foundation of your analysis. Like, Irish people own a lot of banks. Does that mean the Irish people control the world, et cetera, et cetera?
No, nobody would ever point the finger at them at this point, like, and that's the thing too. And it's like, you realize like you want to point the fucking finger at somebody and you want to put religion behind it. Go out your own fucking back door and look at the goddamn Christo-fascist society we fucking live in that keeps you completely oppressed and your entire life ruined and serves fucking capital and no other fucking thing. There's your conspiracy if you want one. Okay, like, it isn't even one. So
many people at the top are Jewish. It is not through being Jewish that they are at the top. It is the ownership of capital. If you own enough capital,
capitalism is the evil.
If you own enough capital in capitalism, you have influence and power and agency, and you can do things. They do not check your religion, and if you talk to Jewish people, it'll turn out that like the religious portion of this is kind of extremely minimal, and the ones who tend to be in positions of high power are certainly not highly religious.
Yeah. And aren't necessarily like the representatives of their religious
you know how Mike Huckabee is not a very good Christian, even though he talks about it all the time. Well, maybe it's a little like that.
It turns out capital kind of trumps all of those other things, so and we're pulling in on time now, so I think that's enough rant for you.
We'll have to do this next week because we didn't even get to talk about. I don't get to do a Trump slam very often, which is weird to say, but nobody talked about this. Capital
this
One's
story
like
is weird.
Closing accounts of Trump. You think that you'd hear
like anti-money laundering? Like I did not. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, look, if you want to hit it fast,
it sounds like Trump had
like,
another money laundering. I'll get more into this next week, but it's just this seems like a story that
you won't be here next week, son.
It seems like a story like MSNBC or CNN or so. Even Fox would like be all over. But like Trump's crime family has just like the Biden crime family and the Clinton crime family and the Obama crime, like you don't get to hang out with all the gangsters without being a gangster. But like he's losing lawsuits about money laundering and I think the reason that this doesn't get talked about much is because everybody's money laundering at that point. The same reason you don't get a lot of like insider trading shit going on, because it would affect both Pelosi and Trump, and like it'd be everybody. Like it's one of those, they can't get Trump on any of his actual crimes because then they'd have to prosecute other people based on their crimes, which is why he gets these crappy things that they go after him for. And even though he loses, Trump's been convicted of all these felonies, yet he's not in jail. It's like, yeah, because they don't really hit him with any of the kind that matter. They got to hit him with all these like procedural things that they know they can actually get him on. All right, but where are we here? Capital One hit back on Friday against a lawsuit over its decision to close the Trump Organization's bank accounts years ago, stating it did so after a review by anti-money laundering experts. The disclosure marks the first time a bank has formally tied money laundering concerns to U.S. President Donald Trump's family business. Like, How's that even possible, man? He runs a laundromat for money. So do all these fuckers.
Right.
And
He uses the whole government for it at this
mostly
point.
what they get out of this is you can launder your nonsense. All right. The Trump Organization, Capital One, did not immediately respond to requests for comment. Capital One has never accused the Trump Organization of illegal money laundering, but Friday's filing argues that documents and plaintiffs' own allegations make clear that Capital One closed plaintiffs' accounts for anti-money laundering reasons. The closures, or they're saying they closed his account because they thought he was money laundering, which, yeah, I'm sure he was. The closures were a result of months of analysis and careful review by Capital One's AML team, anti-money laundering, in accordance with bank policies and regulatory guidance. Let's see. Misguided allegations. Let's do it. Federal court in Miami has tossed 2 complaints in the Capital One case, but given the plaintiffs opportunities has given them opportunities each time to submit an amended complaint. Capital One says in its latest version, filed in July, suffers from the same fundamental flaws as the prior 2 pleadings. Can we enumerate those flaws, please? Capital One said in Friday's filings that the Trump Organization's allegations of political pretext were misguided and based on cherry-picked quotations supported by the full context of documents submitted to the court. The transaction patterns identified by Capital One are among the types of activity flagged by federal banking guidance. It's like, because everybody's in lawsuits, you have to speak very formally. But basically, they're saying, based on what he's doing, this is what would be indicated as a pattern of money laundering. Trump signed an executive order in August 2025 barring discriminatory banking. In January, Trump filed a suit against J.P. Morgan Chase on the same grounds, underscoring the fraught policy environment Wall Street is navigating during the president's second term. In 2019, during his first term, Trump sued Capital One and Deutsche Bank in an attempt to prevent them from sharing financial records with Congress as part of a probe led by Democratic lawmakers. Anti-money laundering professionals at Deutsche Bank reportedly flagged a set of transactions, but executives ignored them. Deutsche Bank. The reason I bring this up, I don't think we have a lot of big still Trump supporting listeners, because as I talk about all the time, what was MAGA? They're out. Like, if you took any of this shit seriously, you're done. You're now former MAGA. You call yourself America First, or you're like me and you're just like, I'm out. I hate all these people. Like, I'm a non-duopoly, whatever. The reason this is important is people will talk about, oh, well, the left, the Democrats, they're doing all these bank crimes and stealing money and doing all this shit. The Clintons and the Bidens, like, and the Trumps and the Bushes and the fucking, it's everybody. It's all of them. Jared Kushner is like the fucking penguin. Like, like the amount of, not because he has a nose, yeah, but like for the amount of like quote white collar crimes. Like they got their fingers in like what Kalshi and these freaking gambling apps, and they got not even talking about the Trump coin. It was a big scam. Now you got Melania coin. That's another big scam. Like, it's just the same nonsense from all of them. His, if anything, seemed more like quaint because it's like Atlantic City style mobsterness as opposed to the more metropolitan Manhattan and Silicon Valley style.
Everything is fucking fake, yo. Like, it's all a bunch of fake nonsense and lies. And it's like, what are we talking about? Like, Capital One being like the paragon of justice and do-goodery? Like, no, they just weren't offered a good enough fucking deal to shut the fucking mouths up. So, like, that's what we're talking about here. And that is the kind of, like, old school mobbery.
I think it's because they were, if the timeline makes sense to me, I think they were closing his accounts while he was out of office, because I think a lot of people were assuming that Trump was not coming back because they had all these lawsuits, right? And I was like, nope, he's back. Got to deal with all this shit now. No, he's suing everybody.
I'm a bitch. Yeah, well, we've given you a pretty good extra story there, guys. So thanks for hanging with us. We do appreciate it. Come and hang out with me next week while Jared is off entertaining the troops, and by that I mean paying customers. So enjoy his music. Remember, you guys can download all of his music, and if you like our theme song, that's all him, bro. So get in there, download his music, make some money, make him make some money so he can keep making it for you. We're indies, we need that money. So, and we don't get paid to say the stupid shit that comes out of our mouth. So
that's actually what you kind of got to look for, people who make their money somewhere else, because if you get your money based on sharing your opinions, it's going to, the incentives will inevitably color your opinions, and you end up back into one of the side quests. You end up as one of the Jews control the world, or just vote, or some other conspiracy theory.
Yeah, we're gonna end up on one of the two. So yeah, we will see you, or I will see you next week, and then he'll be back with us again, and tell us about his wonderful trip, and as he prepares for his neat new adventure to go to see what's going on in Russia. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Take care, everybody. of each other, take care of yourselves, try to stay sane, do some visualizing, visual boards kind of stuff. Like keep it 100, guys. So we'll talk to you again soon. So take care.